by a scientist, Christopher McBoy, and he studies the flow of the water and the sediment in the water when the particles flow. He calls it, I think it's flock, is what he terms it. And over time, as the water flows and it settles in, how that creates the formation of. You can ask him more about it, exactly what it is, everything that he's studying, but wealth of knowledge in how that water flow and how it places the sediments in the Everglades, and over time how different things form is very important to know when you're trying to get flow right in the Everglades. You know, you want natural flow. You don't want all this engineered man-made flow, which is what Florida is so dead set on doing. And this station here, he gets all his data information and he can get it remotely. When Hurricane Irma came through, I believe he said the last reading they got on their gauge was the winds were up to like 125 miles an hour out here, and then somewhere around there, they lost power to here. But wealth of knowledge, he isn't stingy, and he's to me a very humble person. And you ask him a question, he's going to answer. He's not going to dance around it. And he seems to like to share that wealth of information and for people to educate. And he says the information in a way that all the words don't go over your head. And no stupid question is a dumb question. Okay, here where we first started out, we came through like walls of sawgrass. That's not natural. And we were running parallel to the L-29, which is a man-made canal. And on the north side of it, from what they're excavated, there's a lot of rock and ledging and big boulders. So over time, as water flowed, and you had all these particles in the water, it started settling and stacking up and stacking up. And you started getting all this sawgrass and everything in the cattails, because there's a lot of phosphorus and mercury in water growing. And over time, all of that vegetation growing and the muck building up started creating a dam. A lot of people think, oh, we just send the water south and it's just going to flow right into the L-29. It's not, because over time a barrier, a dam has created itself, and unless you unplug those ways, you're going to still have an altered unnatural flow of water. And a lot of people come out here and they see this and they think this is the way the Everglades has always been, and this is the way it's supposed to be. All this amount of sawgrass, from what I understand, because I haven't seen it in my lifetime, but the elders that are still alive, that are hitting close to 100 years old, this open area of water that you see, they said that's what, when they were kids, that's what all of this area looked like.
Oh, wow.
So all the altered flow of water has allowed more sawgrass to grow in, and more cattails, changing that flow. And think about it, they didn't have airboats, they were in dugout canoes. And the reason we call it Kahayalit, because for as far as the eye could see, the water looked like it was shimmering with the sun reflecting over the water. And sometimes you can actually see when you get into the more open water, and it's like sparkling. And that's why we call it Kahayalit. And it's a river. They call it Water Conservation Area 3A. I wish they would quit calling it that, because this is a part of the historic Everglades. But since they labeled it something totally different, now everybody thinks the Everglades is Everglades National Park. It's a portion of the Everglades. Water Conservation 3A, which is what we're in, is another portion of the Everglades. And then to the east of us, that's east that way. Learn your directions with the sun. That is Water Conservation Area 3B. And to our west is the Big Cypress National Preserve. Those are all part of the greater Everglades system. They're still Everglades, but since man has labeled them something else, people in their head can't get that picture in their head that it's a part of the Everglades. So when they think that they water starve those areas, that they're doing a right thing. And then something I learned that I think is important, that needs to be a part of the conversation when you're studying the Everglades, is you have to have that historical anecdotal information. People who lived here for 300 or 400 years, what their families saw.
Absolutely.
Those changes over time, because you get these scientists that move from somewhere else, or maybe they're like me, 52 years old, and I only know what 52 years I've seen. And if I'm just looking at data and I'm just taking samples, and I'm looking at aerial photos, and a flat piece of paper doesn't give you a true picture of what you're looking at. So when you have people that say, oh, like now, my ancestors told me it didn't look like this. They had more open water. And I believe that because that's what they saw. There isn't a reason that they're going to lie. But when you try to talk to scientists like the tribes, when we go to these meetings and we try to talk to scientists, they said, oh, they're like, oh, that's anecdotal information. It's not important. It is important because it gives you another piece of that picture that you need to understand. And if you're going into what science is?
Marine biology.
Marine biology. So when you go into marine biology, when you're looking at that environment, the people who have lived on those waterways and know their waterways like the back of their hand, you have to take that in consideration of what you're seeing through the science to get a complete picture. Because right now we have incomplete pictures. When decisions are made to flow water or hold back water, when we had the high water event out here, end of 2015, beginning of 2016, that supposed drought in 2015, we were flooded with water out here. So somebody had a drought, but we didn't. But so before the emergency deviations came along the L29 coming here, if you came from, you would have passed some bridges, and on the levees you would have seen these big old gates. Those are S structures, and that's what holds water back. These structures along this canal, they're designed to hold back about, I think, 12 feet, up to 12 feet. The gauges read up to 12 feet. And when it gets close to 12 feet, that's when they have to start worrying about how much water they have here, because it'll undermine the structural integrity of that structure itself, and the Highway 41 itself, the Tamiami Trail, the roadbed will start undermining that. But those get more consideration than the Everglades itself, because when those gauges read at 11.5 feet, people are like, oh, we got a half a foot to go, we're okay. When those gauges read at those structures at 11.5 feet, all these islands that are out here are submerged underwater. But people are reading gauges on a screen, and they don't understand physically what is happening out here. They just think, oh, we got another half a foot. So because that was happening, when things like that happen, I start videotaping, and I start taking pictures. And I did for that time, and I went out and I took it to my tribe. I said, here, show these people what it is out here in this time, and use it as proof that we need to get water out of here. Because people think that the Everglades always has to have a lot of water, and it has to have periods of drought. And now they're talking about in dry season trying to put water through here to get into Everglades National Park. If you have too much water in the system, crawdads need to have a dry down to reproduce. They're not going to reproduce in a lot of water. So there's other animals some birds that have to have a dry down to nest. The turtles need to have a dry down to nest, because when you see the water low, that's when you got your turtles, snakes, and alligators out here are going to nest. So if they have, and it happened one year because somebody made a stupid decision because they had to rehab an island out here, and it was during the low water period, and so that's when all the animals had just nested. We had seen the alligators make their nests, and then turtles had to drop their eggs. But because it was cheaper to use a company that uses a barge, they intentionally flooded this area and killed a whole cycle of animals, just because they wanted to save money to bring in the barge, because they came as the lowest bidder to clean up on the island out here. And those are the kind of decisions that don't we just heard. It has feelings. For whatever reason, the two-legged animal thinks that no other animals have feelings or cognitive thought. They probably look at us and think we're crazy and don't have cognitive thought. And wondering, like, hey, why are those animals like not being like they're supposed to be anymore? Because you got the birds and everything else doing what they're supposed to be doing. And we've changed from what we're supposed to be doing. But if you recognize this parts of nature has a right to exist, then when you make those decisions or in your studies or whatever you become to use that degree further with, or if you're part of decision making, you always have to remember it has a life. Just like your parents have decision making over you. And when you get old enough, you're going to have decision making over yourself, but then you're going to have decision making that impacts something else's life. Our tribe, when we look out here, when we think about decisions or what we're looking at, what we want to do, and when people ask us our opinions, we understand. That's why it takes us so long to come to a decision, because when we make that decision, you can't undo it. You can only go forward. And we understand that we're making that decision for another life form. Here in the state of Florida, there's that big disconnect that they're making a decision for another life form. Some of the scientists now are verbalizing it. Maybe they feel that they have the more ability and they're going to get fired for verbalizing it, but they're understanding somewhat that they're in a living natural system. And we have to look at the health of the system, because if the system isn't healthy, we can't continue to exist. For some reason, human beings think that they can exist in an unhealthy environment. We ain't going to Mars. I'm sorry. Everybody thinks we're going to Mars and we're going to repopulate and all that, and or we're going to be like free. Was it Wally? Or we're all going to be in spaceships, and getting all fat, having these machines do everything for us. That's not going to happen. We have to take care of the environment that we're in. That's how we're taught. And so if you understand, this isn't natural. This isn't altered Everglades. Will you ever get back to the historic Everglades? No. But can you do something to continue to stop further degradation? Yes. But if the state keeps making these decisions, and the decisions they make now is they're willing to sacrifice this area to just protect that area south. We have so many endangered species in the Conservation 3 Area 3 that they're willing to sacrifice those endangered species to protect the endangered species in Everglades National Park. They're not endangered. So I just to get provoke thought, I asked the question, okay, so this must be like the low class, colored, low income neighborhood, and that must be like the upper class rich neighborhood over there, because you don't, when you compare that to cities, the people with more wealth, their areas is better taken care of than the people with lower wealth. And that's where you see the garbage dumps and sewage treatment plants always go in areas where there's lower income, and they can't, they verbalize things, but they don't have that money, political power to stop it, versus the people with a lot of money. So I said, this must be like the poor neighborhood, and that must be the rich neighborhood over there. That's the only way I can fathom it. And then when you look at Everglades National Park itself, they're willing to sacrifice and further degrade the western part of Everglades National Park and water starve it. Everybody says water didn't flow that way. I know water flowed that way. We're seeing more saltwater plant life encroachment because there's not enough fresh water going that way. So that tells you if you have freshwater plants down there, fresh water went that way. And we in the same thing, they want to have their altered version of what Everglades flow was, and they want to send it more to the east. So when I look at the park itself, I said, okay, what's so important that the west side can't get equal consideration as the eastern side? Why is the eastern side so valuable? Why do they place so much value on that? Because the indigenous people, we place equal value on the entire thing. We can't understand what is so valuable. When we ask that question, we come with people, taxes, agriculture. In the western side, they don't have that because it's plants, animals, and water, which it should have, if anything, greater value than the dead system that was created in the cities. But they want water supply, to that urban area. So they're willing to sacrifice the Western Everglades. And they don't, I'm sorry, Everglades National Park, maybe the scientists do, I don't know, but the outward appearances that they don't give a crap about the western portion of the Everglades. Their main baby is the eastern portion of the Everglades, which doesn't make sense. If you're a national park system, you should worry about the entire system and not give preferential treatment to the eastern side.
The old maps that I study, it looks like everything south of Lake Okeechobee was the Everglades.
It's a wide branch.
And a lot of that water flow, the hydrology, went more west than it did east.
And that's the one thing that McBoy, you really got to talk to him, because he studies the old landscape of the Everglades, the history of it, and how it has changed over time, and the island formations, because you see they're all linear, and the shape of the island is kind of like with the water flow. That's why you got the teardrop shapes. And yes, you might have gotten more further reaching water flow during different parts of the year towards the western, and maybe you had a more consistent water flow through the central. But water goes where water needs to find the path of least resistance. And when I was growing up, my father, we airboated a lot in the western part of what is now Big Cypress Preserve, towards that area, and until we got to the mangroves. So, and a lot of time of the years we're out there airboating, so it had a lot of water out there. So, when you look at the old satellite imaging and other people are seeing it, water did go that way. The new mentality and trying to put the picture of what the new water flow isn't what the historic water flow is. And if you ever see pictures of, they say, oh, this is what it was and this is what we're going to do, those are misleading pictures, because people think it's going to be a wide expanse sheet flow versus, okay, we're going down a canal, we're going down another canal, we're going to make an I-90 turn, we're going to come into 3A, then we're going to make another 90-degree turn, then we're going to go down to L29 and go under the bridge and make another 90-degree turn. That's not natural water flow.
Nope.
They don't show all those little areas to the public. They just show a wide open sheet flow is what they're going to restore, and they aren't. So to me, they're intentionally misleading the public, because the public doesn't have the time to study all of this and come out and understand all of this. So that's why it's important for the people who live in those areas, because everybody wants to make the decisions about the Everglades, but I live here. My people live here. But they don't consult with the people who actually live here. We're kind of like the Glades community up in Clewiston and South Bay and Pahokee. Everybody wants to decide for those communities what they think they should be doing and how they should be living. The same way they wanted to decide for the Miccosukee people of how we should be living. And they think we should have moved out a long time ago. So when you're looking at your marine environments, that would apply to your the fish and everything that survive in that system. When you have people that want to come and dredge for ports, they want to do, what is it now for the red tide, they want to look at exploring dumping some clay, from
mosaic nonetheless,
polluted, right? So they're making those decisions for those marine animals that have a life down there. They're in their communities and they're living their lives and they're altering that. So what you do in your study is very important to understand how that life exists. And if you change it, what are you going to do? Because if they dump all that clay out there, what are they going to do to further impact and throw the balance off? So it's all of that is, very important to understand each little thing, whether it's in the ocean, whether it's on dry land, whether it's in marshland, each little thing, like the bigger picture of that puzzle, they all got to fit together and they got to work together to function well together. And when we continue to alter, the ecosystems, we're throwing everything way off balance, and then we can't figure out that because everything is so off balance that we have issues. Instead of making decisions to cover up the problem or always react to the problem instead of being proactive. Like if you grow up and you ever get sick, you go to the doctor and you want the doctor to make you better, right? To bring your body back in balance so you can be healthy. I simplified that a lot, but if you think about that, your own body, if you look at the ecosystem as your own body, when you bring your own body back into balance, you feel good, you got energy, you're healthy, you can play sports or whatever, do whatever. But when your body is out of balance, you don't have energy. Maybe you're going to end up having diabetes or heart disease, you know, depression or whatever. The ecosystem goes through that same cycle. It's very, right now she's, you know, the kidneys of the ecosystem of the Everglades is, you know, she's on a bad dialysis machine. The Everglades restoration, I call it like dialysis for for the kidneys. You know, she needs a new dialysis machine. You know, she needs a kidney transplant. You know, and to be, you know, revived. I think she's at the point that if, you know, if she gets detoxified enough and the opportunity to heal and regenerate, she can recover. It's just that not enough is being done to prevent her kidneys from being overwhelmed. It's like when they tell you don't drink soda, but you drink soda. Same thing. Very simple. When you simplify it like that, it's like, yes, it's simple, but it's also complicated.